1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not a strong start with a cough. I'm so sorry. Look, hi. I sort of have a little bit of a list of things I wanted to talk through, actually, which is very unlike sitting down to record this session. But I want to preface that by saying I've been thinking about the very, very fine tightrope walk, adjusting microphone sound, sorry if that's a bit intense, the very delicate, high-risk, high-reward tightrope walk, or just thin line, really. I don't know. I just think there's like a very real... what are they? There's just like... I just think mental illness and creative genius and deep personal sacrifice, maybe, are all somehow have some sort of relationship to each other. I'm not intending to glorify that or say, or, support the idea of the tortured artist or purport that, if you're a creative genius, you're also completely messed up or anything like that. But I don't think it's a total coincidence that people like Kanye West exist. I don't think it's actually that wild that we often later down the line, many years after kind of a very strong well-known track record, do we find out that, directors or people in any kind of like positions of power have some sort of maniac, villainous kind of, evil about them. Like I think there's, just to be clear, not associating the idea of mental illness with evil as a kind of religious or other concept. I'm just saying that I think there is there's a correlation, there's not necessarily a causation here. And I say all that because sometimes I can kind of like think about some of the things that I have said or will say as being quite, a bit like unstable or a bit like not of a regular sound mind, not an intelligent person who should be, grounded in science and reality and grounded in a sense of just clear frameworks and clear identifiable systems that they belong to. When someone starts introducing the word systems, you've got to kind of like get the tinfoil hat out ready. So I just wanted to say I'm aware that like there's a really fine edge here. And I think a bit like, in politics, like far right or left parties, mostly far right, kind of have to work somewhat strategically in order to not gather extremists associating themselves with the party, or do it only when it suits them. Because also with the kind of extreme ideologies come some really problematic things, and there is some overlap in beliefs, but ultimately there's a point at which things feel like they go a little bit too far off the deep end. And I'm hoping that, I don't know, I'm hoping that in this discussion and in this kind of like forum, we don't go off the deep end. I think we could. If you and I were chatting around the campfire at 2 a.m, then I think we can go off the deep end. But I think the container for this, whatever this is in this little series, is like, let's not go off the deep end. Even though you can imagine where maybe you could take it or I could take it or where it all sits. Okay, enough vague generalizations. Let's get into, after a few days away in regional Victoria, some kind of big, juicy kind of thoughts and what feels like dropping through. I thought like into just a kind of like another like deeper layer of, being or thinking or something. I where do we start? Just at the top of my list? No, I wanted to say, first of all, I think there's like a framework for me to kind of approach these videos, which is like this is, and again, even if it doesn't sound kind of extreme or off the deep end, I think it just sounds exceptionally like sociopathic or narcissistic at times. And part of me continuing to go further is to respond to that thought, whether it's coming from me or others, with yes, correct. I think that like a framework for me to be able to engage with this is like, imagine the documentary of my like life. Like, what an interesting, I love the documentary, for instance, that's about Tim Minchin, and like anything that follows this sort of a story of growth and rising success. But then I was like, no one has the foresight to make a documentary about me right now. So let me just provide the source material that later on could be edited together for the opening of the kind of like whatever it might be that requires an opening in 10 years time or two. So anyway, should we start again? No, keep going, Kyle. I did a lot of talking out, a lot of journaling. I feel like there's like just one thing that I want to share that feels like I have, in the kind of TikTok content world, just been given a golden ticket, really. The thing that I've been asking for and desiring most, which is like an answer to the question, how do I get out of the love luxury viral prison that I built for myself into just being able to do other stuff? And I haven't felt like pressure or stress over that for a while. I have previously, but in the last couple of like months, I think I've felt a little bit freer around all of that, because I'm just realizing like, oh, well, I can get money even regardless. Like, brands that are doing deals are not being like, is he authentically an artist outside of this niche parody world that he's creating? Or is he just using the words of others to get views? They don't give a shit. They want fucking eyes on their products. And if anyone can give them to them, they'll take anything. Advertising, brands advertising, that whole marketing world, it is just one giant, just like meat market. And that I'm very familiar with, having, been an actor and auditioned for a lot of ads and seen the kind of, breakdowns around roles and the kind of makeup of how the pieces of advertising are put together, which has just the most faint sprinkle of artistic integrity just to get it over the line, but only for the purpose of serving, the product or the brand or the business further, so that more money can come in, for no other reason. There's nothing. So just with that little wafer thin kind of trace of artistic expression, and the rest of it is just like whatever sells, whatever sells, whatever sells, whatever sells. So anyway, with all of that in mind, I feel like the equation of like whether I'm a real artist or trapped inside a love luxury parody prison, it's irrelevant, because I'm making money now anyway. But I think then something that's felt like really affirming is 2 recent videos where I did a spin-off series in a kind of fun soap opera genre style. And I've thought about that for a long time, of doing that. And it's just like a dumb little idea. It's so very 101 improv training, right? Like, it's very much like looking at different perspectives, looking at like, the first unusual thing, looking at like the what ifs behind characters, the backstories, all of that sort of stuff. It's very basic, but it's fun to do. It is fun to play, and it's fun to imagine. And I had a lot of fun in just having a little spin-off subplot of one of the videos. And now, even though it's like really not going well, it's tanking, there is still enough engagement on there of people being like, yay, I like this, or like more please, or whatever. And that just feels like someone has released the handcuffs. I'll gladly make a million more Love Luxury verbatim parodies now, because I just know that there is at least a tiny sliver of an audience. It's not, even if it's almost nothing, it's not, but it's like just starting from the whimper of people being like, more please, is not them necessarily saying, we want more Birkins in every video, please. We want you to talk, say lock, key and close shit. I can't even say it one time, 100 more times, which is fun too, and I get it. And that's what this dancing monkey has done today. But I'm like, I feel so strategic and crafty and clever, because this intention of like a Venn diagram of like my artistic interests, Love Luxury, and then the kind of crossover, and slowly starting to kind of like, what is that, like oscillate the circles around or something like that, so that there's different overlapping things that can kind of intersect with my skills as well as span us off. And now we've got 2 episodes and people are like, I want 3 or whatever. Anyway, I'm excited creatively. It feels very fun. And there's this real kind of just liberating freedom in not being a filmmaker and having really, I'm relying on year 9 North Bundaberg State High School film studies with Mr. Caniff as the kind of toolkit for how to shoot a short film, or like these much more filmic episodes, because and I'm not doing a very good job of remembering what I was told, because I'm like crossing the line and the continuity's all out and everything else. But because the Love Luxury kind of parody format gives me such a clear structure, it's been such good training wheels. It almost feels like reps or scales or really focused exercises, because they're really there's just such a specific format. So to stray from that, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. If you can just shoot anything in a room, where do you start? How do you pick a corner to shoot in, and where is the other character, and what's over the shoulder, who is over the shoulder, and what's this angle? And then I was like starting to try and watch movies looking at the angles and be like, well, hang on, I thought it's supposed to just be the perspective of another person, but then you look and then you're like, no, that angle's not the perspective of another person. So I don't know, but I feel like I'm learning. And the point being, I mean, I'm just getting these up in like 24 hours, right? The episode 2 of the kind of soap opera that I put up today, I had 1 hour to film while I was in the location to film everything I needed. And I had to do it in 45 minutes because I also had to pack up and check out. And so I just got as much as I could. I didn't, particularly have a script. I just was like, I know the general shape or some options. I'll get some options and I'll cut away the rest. The room was beautiful, so I felt like I had to use that before I went. I like the potential continuation or pattern of having an off-screen voiceover kind of scene partner, and a weird kind of like hard to describe skill that I have is like being able to kind of replicate tonal qualities of like certain genres, but like really specific genres, not funny, useful, I can appear on Saturday Night Live because I'm so versatile kind of genres. More like I know how to do main stage kind of theatre, sort of Joanna Murray Smith kind of circa theatre on stage that you might see with middle class people having middle class problems. And I know I have enough kind of filmic knowledge to be like, from the actor's point of view, I know where the cameras are usually kind of pointing depending on, what you might be filming and whatever. So along with all of that, I feel very much just guided by a sense of like fun and what I want to do. So I couldn't have asked for a greater like gift to round off my birthday week, to be completely honest, than this kind of like fun permission slip to just keep having fun and playing more with it. I feel very like now that we've kind of done all my apologizing for how woo-woo I'm sort of going to go, like I feel really like, oh, it is done. The decision is made. I just need to keep continuing. I did a heap of journaling and voice memoing and talking back and forth with AI. And here's the kind of like, just let me pop my glasses on, love. Here's my kind of like operating principles. Oh my God. It created all these docs. And then, you can't really see any, but I gave it like I was like, I need some more kind of material to put on my cupboard doors. The rest is on the insides, but it came out with this like manifesto, some like pull quotes from my last 2 years of journaling. Oh, so good. Anyway, here's my operating principles. This is how I work, how I live, how I grow. And I just thought I'd share these and just talk about them quickly as we go. There's 10 in total, but I think one I don't think should be on there. So we'll just skip that. But ready, fire, aim. Now, I feel like the first time I remember hearing this was maybe Margie Brown Ash, QUT, circa 2008, 7, 6, 5, 6, 7. And I feel like Margie talked about ready, fire, aim, this kind of idea of like go before you're ready, whatever. For me, it's really important because if I don't launch myself into something before I'm quite ready, I never will. And I'll spend way too much time in the aim and then go into analysis paralysis, then avoid it. And then it feels, so I just need to embrace that when you are doing ready, fire, aim, as opposed to ready, aim, fire, there is always going to be a little, just always a flavor that some people describe as chaos. Some people will describe as like disorganized or whatever. Don't give a shit anymore. I'm staying the fuck away from the kind of environments where people kind of shame using disorganized and chaos and all that sort of stuff. Because the amount of energy, here we go, take a shot every time, Kyle, rags on local government. But the amount of times, or just any boring job, the amount of energy spent trying to fit into the most stupid criteria of success while hindering any opportunity to actually like allow, superpowers to shine through, the ratio is way out. And I think a lot of people are in that boat. I don't think that's just me. Okay. Number 2, the work is the life. Not a means to an end. The creative reps are the goal. So somebody's asked me, previously, like, what's the goal? What are you doing with all this social media stuff? Don't know. But do you know what? It's so fun doing whatever I'm doing right now that this is the goal. This is it. This is actually it. And there's like new fun things that come along and surprise and money and, all these other like little ingredients that flavor it. But like, this is it. There's no magical other side where this gets better. This is as good as it gets. And it's really fucking good, to be completely honest. Dream life. So I just want to remember that, like, not to, even though there's all these goals and charts and things on the wall, that it's also like, we're in it. This is the dream life right now. There's no like, just like 10 more years and then we can buy the caravan and then we will retire and then we'll do it. All power to you if that's your path. It's just not on my operating principles. I've already talked about it here, on my live, other in real life. You're always practicing something. Choose your practice deliberately. I'm going to be practicing abundance. Money is a game, not a threat. The money in my savings is here for this. Now. It's for now. How exciting that I get to use it because I'm in the now to be able to use that. And I love that money is a game, circular, boomerang-esque. It comes back, it goes out. I enjoy sending it. The goal is not to gather as much and never release it out. Oh my God. My goal is to keep money flowing through. Stay open to the airport. How can I explain this in the very quickest way possible? The goal isn't always the flight. Just trust what you meet en route. Who you meet, I guess, as well. But I'm bastardizing a TikTok that I saw the other day, which was about a creator, you might have seen it, talking about manifesting. They were going to miss a flight. That flight meant if they missed that, they might miss the cruise that they had to go on. And there was a high stakes situation. The person who was the author of the TikTok was saying that they were less stressed because they felt in their heart that they were going to miss it. And the other person, anyway, there was probably a really much more interesting story there than I'm relaying and that I should have paid attention to. But what it made me think about is just like, I've said this before, the very limiting confines of words and language and how they are so ultimately really just finite and do not do a great job of expressing the full kind of spectrum of human emotion and human feelings and being states. And I was thinking about how I think that's why it's sometimes hard to get to talk manifestation, because there's a whole lot of dum-dums that do it that I think are clumsy in their speech and vocabulary. I think that also it's really, reductive and can be quite offensive as well. But what is more important than, like often people will talk about this idea of like, hang on, just stick to one point that you're trying to say at a time, Kyle. Okay, got it. I think the idea of goals is a really complex, huge topic, but I don't think what it is like, I want a car, I want a house, I want a beautiful partner, and I want a little puppy named Susie. It can be that, but I think when you're applying it to your life, the idea of these huge kind of, what is your life path? Not just like, what's this little thing I want to pick off the wish list tree and place into my, my crystal shrine, and so that it magically appears in my magical Santa stocking of a life, next week. That's not really of interest to me, and it kind of feels like it just all stems from the kind of consumerist, capitalist kind of, mindset. But I think the kind of being states around careers and things, the thing that feels most activating for me is to remember that even if there is a car, a puppy, a partner, or whatever on the manifesting kind of manifesto, there is still so much more that is going on when we say those words. Danielle Laporte has the closest kind of framework that I found that feels so spot on. And she talks about the idea that we don't want the things that we say we want. We want the feelings that we think we're going to have when we obtain them. So for instance, when we say, I want a Ferrari or whatever luxury car, what we're actually saying is like, I might want to feel, it's different for everyone, powerful or young again, or I want to feel luxurious. I want to feel wealthy. And she challenges that idea about it's the thing, because how often in life do we achieve the thing and then feel quite disappointed or wonder, is that it? That there are ways every day that we can actually access that being state and those core desired feelings, luxury, youthful, powerful, wealthy, in ways that don't require the big spend on the singular thing. She gives the example of like, you can feel wealthy by giving money to people that are begging on the street if you want to. She gives the example that you can feel luxurious without necessarily buying a car by maybe having fresh flowers on your table when you go home. And she talks about this idea that like, once you know what these core desired feelings are, you can channel so much of your intention in your life into being like really helpful decisions. So when you're deciding like, should I take this flight or this flight on the holidays, you can have a think through a checklist and be like, okay, well, I know that my core desired feelings are whatever, luxury, authentic, play, sharp. Which flight, the 1 a.m. one that gets me in at 5 a.m. and we kind of check into accommodation till 2 p.m., is that flight the one that's going to make me feel most like those things? Or is the flight that's maybe slightly more expensive, but does get in at a reasonable time, leaves at a reasonable, you know what I mean? So it can be a really helpful, decisive decision-making tool. Anyway, I was just thinking about, again, the limiting idea of language and goals, and I think a very narrow idea of what is manifestation and manifesting is that idea of like, if you're going on a holiday, a cruise, right? It is not just about getting to the destination. And I know, Kyle, are you just leading all of this to say it's about the journey, not the destination? Well, yes, sort of. But then like, even on a holiday, what part is the holiday a holiday? Is the holiday getting to the accommodation? Is the holiday day one when you're a bit jet lagged and sort of like still not in it yet? Is that the holiday? Is the holiday the time that you clock off work? Is the holiday that like, and they're all rhetorical questions because the holiday is whatever the fuck you want it to be, right? Like it's the idea of it, and studies even show that our anticipation leading up to a holiday and the planning of it can be as pleasurable as taking the holiday itself. So I'm just saying that I need to remember for myself to not be so patronizing to think I know what is the end goal that will make me happy or make me feel something. And remember that in fact, everything that's happening along the way is actually so valuable. And I love a delightful surprise that I couldn't have even expected. And what a wonderful way to welcome that in, to say, yeah, we've got this holiday planned, but how exciting to find out what I've never seen before at the airport, or like, I wonder if there's not someone mental next to me on the plane and actually someone interesting that I could talk to, or like what ideas will drop into my head when the whatever train is delayed and I'm sitting at this random train station in a foreign country for 2 extra hours, or what books will I get to read? I even as I say that, I'm like, sounds a little bit simple, Car, but I think it just reminds me that there's so many more parts to whatever the goals that we're chasing than just the couple of words or the photo on the vision board page or whatever it might be. That like there's a whole adventure and opening up to the kind of path unfolding that is almost equally as important as the getting on the cruise or getting to the thing. And the idea that like, I don't know, it's something about like once you're in motion, you're in motion. I don't know. Maybe I need to add that detail in. Okay, moving on. I feel like I really sort of cocked up that explanation. But anyway, apologies for the language. There's been a few swears in this one. So that was just stay open to the airport. Muddy the waters. That's just about love luxury. Doesn't remember. Calm is not laziness. Just a reminder for me, I think like had an experience once I sort of entered this phase of my life, like post full-time work. And I just was like, oh, I'm being really lazy. I was saying that all the time to everyone, like I was being really lazy. And I really wasn't. I was doing like 3 to 4 French classes a week. I was like making a lot of videos, which is fun for me, but still requires a lot of kind of like organizing and doing it. I was like setting up a house and keeping it really organized and tidy and clean. I was cooking, cleaning, exploring my neighborhood. Like there was really this idea. Nadia put me onto a great book called the Myth of Normal. The Myth of Normal. Let's just confirm that's what it's called. The Myth of Normal. Anyway, it basically just like proposes that the idea of laziness doesn't exist. It's a capitalist kind of invention by Daniel Maté and Gabor Maté. Oh yeah, father and son. Anyway, so that idea that like, I just think again like lazy. I was being really lazy. I was saying all the time. No, I wasn't. And I think it's just because I've been associating for so long the idea of like, again, just good boy, busy work, turn up Monday to Friday, take some sick days, take annual leave, talk about what happened on the weekend. How is your mum? Is she getting better? Yeah, that's good. Have you heard about the meeting? Restructure, pay rise, negotiation, job up for grabs, across the road, renovations, all of the work sites. Yeah, asbestos. Can we? Can't we? I don't know. Should we? We should. It's interesting, isn't it? Have you heard about? Yeah, I did. Did you know that? Things have changed. Cost of living. It's like being stuck working in an office, a really normie office, is like being stuck on the Google first page results when you just type in news, Australia, or news, whatever country, and you get all these headlines and like it's like you can't open the article, you can't dive any deeper into the articles, you're just stuck kind of with the headlines over and over again and they never ever change. Okay, enough. Calm is not laziness. Oh, this one is called The Audience Wants Kyle. It really just needs a bit of zhuzhing up, I think. But like, not less of me, more. My audience wants spin-offs. Give them everything. And then, do you know what? This is just a side note. Draw on memory, not on imagination. I just wondered, am I a method actor? And by that I mean, I was just thinking about some stuff, and even when I was just doing some acting on camera the other day, I was like, this is interesting. At 38, I have a lot more, funnily enough, I have more experience in everything than I've had in my life before. But I was thinking about how actually when you can draw on memory in your life, rather than being 19 years old and in an acting class trying to play someone who's just so far removed from, you know, who you are and what your own life experience is. Like, I was just like, maybe I'm a method actor, but not in a way that I'm committed enough to do that for a part. Just in like, oh, I felt really different acting from a place of truth or something rather than, do you know what I mean? Like, rather than imagination, as in like, sure, I'm happy to use imagination, but at the same time I was like, yeah, I really like this. This feels comfortable acting from memory rather than imagination. Just interesting. Hope I get to test it out more. Everything works out for me. not naive. Just it's not magic. It's just a practice. That's all. I'm loving where this week is going. There's like a lot of space. I have to write 2 articles, and one is due tomorrow, and I haven't started it. So I'm excited to do that tomorrow and crack it and get it in by 5 p.m. And I also want to film a Love Luxury, film a backstory to that Love Luxury, and you don't need to know my to-do list. I'm just telling you now. Okay, it's time to go. Okay, thanks for watching. Goodbye.